We are in the 12th week, and this week is your career research project is due this week. I have it set to May 3rd for the due date, which is a little later on. Do you guys have any questions in regards to the assignment before I go into the details?
That's something like we just um pick up a story
Hold on
and
once. Can you give me 1 second? Hold on. I'm having issues with my volume. Give me a second here. I think my volume's too low. Okay, could you repeat that for me? I'm sorry.
said the assignment. Do you need to create a story that's like based on from our? It's like a based on real life thing or just
Is your career? Did you go to week 7 and look at the instructions?
yeah. I looked at it. I was just a little bit confused
Okay.
of what.
So I'll go over real quick. You have to pick like a job, a career, or a job.
Yeah, yeah. That like is it based on like what we studying or we just
No,
what we
no,
want?
no. Doesn't have to be what you're studying. Not at all. You could be a business major, but you want to get into music or something. It's whatever is whatever. It
Okay,
absolutely
so
does not have to be about about a business. No.
yeah. So what about the career and then also we need to like film ourselves writing it. I mean, reading it down or what?
So if you take a look at week 7, I posted the instructions. It has all the questions. You need to answer those questions in a Word document.
Oh,
Uh,
you need,
you
so
also, yeah, go ahead.
the questions are based. The question we have to answer those questions like through the career project.
No, if you go to week 7, I
Uh-huh.
physically posted the instructions. It's a Word document. You download it. It's the instruction. It tells you what to answer. What it gives you a clear instruction on what to do.
Oh, okay.
You're going to answer those questions on week 7, and you're going to look at what is required. It gives you instruction on what to do. It's going to tell you what questions to answer. You will need to find a. You need to find a resume of the career you're interested in. So if you're interested in, let's just say you want to be whatever, right? You want to be a researcher, medical
Mhm.
researcher. Google a medical researcher resume and pull it up. And then that resume will have a real resume. If you find a real person's resume, you can search on LinkedIn too, look at someone's LinkedIn profile.
Mhm.
That resume will have like 90% of the answers that you need to finish the assignment. You just have to do
That's
it. Okay.
that's something you're doing.
Correct.
Okay.
So just read the instructions in week 7.
And then after
I'm
that we just send it to you or we just put it in
so
the
so if you look
place.
at week 12, which is the week we're in, on the content folder,
Mm-hmm.
uh, there is a submission link. That
Week
submission link has the instructions. So you'll see if you click on content on under your Brightspace webpage,
mm-hmm.
you go to week 12,
Mm-hmm.
and then you'll see career project individual submission. If you physically click on that, you can then submit your assignment. So you would have to click uh you'd have to and the instructions are there too. Uh
Yeah. So basically it's just on the week 7 is the project and then week 12 is where you submit it.
Correct. And you
Okay.
see you could open, it says add attachment, you add the
Yeah,
assignment,
add a file
submit
and
it,
all that. Yeah, I know.
right. And then you're good. And that's how you submit your week 12. Uh
Okay.
the career assignment.
All right, thank you. That's what I need to know.
Thank you for asking the question. I'm sure other students had the same question, but we're too afraid to ask.
Yeah.
Do we have any more questions before we begin? You guys have any questions on anything? Is due this week. I put a due date of May 3rd. So May 3rd is for your understanding, May 3rd, like right now uh we're April
April 27th,
24th.
24th,
May
whatever. Yeah.
3rd is next week Saturday. So it's technically due this week. That means by the end of the 27th of this week, you should have it submitted. I extended the due date to the 3rd of May. Don't wait till the last minute because May 3rd, there's only 2 weeks of class left. So you got to take finals and then you have to do your final submission, which is where you take this project that you're working on and then you're going to turn it into a presentation using PowerPoint. So
Uh,
if you wait till the 3rd, you're not going to have a lot of time to do that. So
oh,
I would
one
try
more
to
question.
go ahead.
If we submitted early, do we get a feedback or redo or anything?
So this would be your first project, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
So what happens is that when you upload the project to Brightspace, I
Mm-hmm.
can go in and see the project, and then I can give you a grade,
Yeah, I know.
and then you'll see the grade. So you should be okay. So in any feedback I want to leave, I can leave feedback there. Um, if feedback is necessary. I mean, this is more of an exploratory assignment. Is you talk
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
know, like when you said you would give feedback, I'm saying like if you submitted early and you give feedback, and let's say like the grades is not like the one we was looking for, like can we redo it and resubmit it, or after you submit it is that's it?
So the for the assignment, the requested feedback will come after I grade it.
Oh,
If
okay.
you submit it earlier, I'm not going to say I might not necessarily get to yours sooner than when I grade everything together. But the other reality is that a lot of students aren't going to do the assignment. I'm just being honest with you. They're not going to
Mhm.
do it. So I check each week. I look, I see who does what. I grade it. Sometimes I wait a couple of weeks because a lot of students don't do the assignment. So I may wait a couple of weeks before I grade. So I'm not just grading one person's assignment. But I'm extending it to the 3rd. I'm saying you should do it this week because you want to have more time for your finals. Don't put off what you could do tomorrow that you could do today, essentially.
Okay. And last thing, what was I gonna say again about the project? Like how many percent of us are grade is it?
20%.
20%. Okay.
20%. So both projects, the uh the research project and the deliverable, which is the research of your career, and then the presentation together, I think is should be 20% in total for both.
Both of them is 20%, so 10% of each.
Roughly, yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Your midterm and final is 50%. So if you take the midterm, the final, and you complete the career projects, that's 75, that's 70% of your grade.
All right.
And the other 30% is the discussion board, the Connect, SimNet. Most of it being more Connect and discussion board.
Yeah.
SimNet plays a much smaller role in your grade. And then you get extra 5% for complete. Um, let me go over this actually. You guys are supposed to, this has nothing to do with my class, but you guys are supposed to be able, when you go on Blackboard, you should be able to see a sort of like a freshman seminar. Do you guys see that when you log in?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So have you started that freshman seminar course?
Nope.
Okay. So you need to, as a separate thing, you're supposed to be working on and completing that freshman seminar, doing maybe a couple like 5 to 10 minutes a day. Okay. So the freshman seminar is giving you information about knowing what you need to do as a freshman, how to manage and guide yourself through BMCC as a freshman, understanding the requirements. Uh, uh,
Is that part of our grades?
it is a part of your grade. So me personally, it's not my class, it's not my course, but the director of I should say the chair of our department has stated that students who begin to complete or go through the coursework, at least a third of it, get extra credit on all of their assignments. So I'm just
Okay.
reminding you guys that as students, as freshmen, you're supposed to be working through that course.
So is that on your class or just on the announcement?
So it's not on my class. You have to go into your Brightspace, and
Oh,
if you
okay.
see all the different courses, is one of the courses you could choose is freshman seminar.
All right.
It's a separate course that you go through yourself that kind of teaches you everything you need to know as a freshman that you should be aware of. So what I'm saying is that I get reports that tells me how many students are doing it. Very few students are doing it. Uh, those students who are doing it, I'm supposed to give them extra credit at the end of the semester. So I'm just giving you a heads up about that because I know a lot of students, they don't even know about the course. Don't ask me why they don't know. They should know, but they don't know. So I'm just telling
I
you,
didn't. I'm gonna start doing it. I
you
need
know,
the extra credits.
all right. So it's not attached to my course. It's just something that every freshman has access to. It's something you're supposed to work on. Okay.
So you said it's on contact, right?
It's on Brightspace.
Or Brightspace.
So you say so someone says that course is not the same as Introduction to BMCC. I have no idea. Okay. I just know there's some sort of freshman seminar course. Uh you guys should be taking, you should be able to see it in your Brightspace. That's all I'm being told. I don't have access to it. I can't see the course. I think it's called freshman seminar or something of that sort.
You
It
said
could be, it
freshman
could, it could
seminar
be, it could be Introduction to BMCC. I'm not too sure, but it's some sort of introductory freshman seminar course that you guys can have access to under your Brightspace. That's just for freshmen, and you're supposed to. It teaches you about research and what to do, what you can do. Academics. It gives you the whole rundown on what you should know as a freshman.
I don't see it.
When you go to home
Yeah,
on
I'm on
Brightspace,
home.
what
We gotta go
courses
to
do you?
Brightspace Hope because
What courses? No, when you go to home, what courses do you see that are available? You should see my
my
course.
I see all the courses I have, but I don't see no
You have to check your fall semester. It won't be on the spring semester. You have to check your fall semester.
for 2024.
Yes, you have to check that course to see introduction to BMCC in case that you are a freshman.
Mm, I don't see it.
Well, it's there. I mean, if you're a freshman, it's somewhere over there. Uh, what she's saying is that, we're in the spring semester. So, is this your first semester of class, or did you have class last semester?
No, I had class last semester.
So what she's saying is you should check your courses for last semester because it may be listed under last semester. The semester you registered as a freshman, you have to check to
Yeah,
see if it's under that semester.
I take semester and fall, but I don't. I still only saw the classes I had, which is close.
Okay. Well, for every other student, just make sure you're on top of that. Unfortunately, I can't really help you with that. It's not my expertise. I don't have access to it. Uh, but for everyone else, take a look, see if you have it there. It's something you should be working through before you complete your freshman seminar, your freshman year. You guys have any other questions? I don't mind the questions. If you have questions, ask me questions. Okay. Just as a reminder, guys, uh, when you go to Brightspace, you click on activities and you click on discussion. Don't forget to do your discussion boards because your discussion boards counts as a big part of your participation credit. Okay, so um, try not to forget about that. Let us jump into chapter 14. I'll make it quick. We spent a bit of time on the questions, so I won't spend too much time on this. Um, okay, so chapter 14 is about developing and pricing goods and services. And what I will say is if you go to a restaurant or a supermarket or a store and you look at the prices, you have to ask yourself, where'd they get those prices from? Right? You guys ever go to like a bodega, maybe you get a sandwich or you get something to eat, and one store sells it for, 25 cents more or less than the other store. You might say, well, why is that? Or you go to a Dwayne Reed or a CVS, and the Dwayne Reed and CVS is way more expensive than if you actually physically went to a supermarket to buy the same thing. Like if you go to Dwayne Reed and you look at how much a pack of gum is, then you go to a supermarket, pack of gum's way cheaper. So why is that? Right? Or if you had your own restaurant, let's say you had like a food truck and you guys had a food truck and you had to figure, well, how much do I charge for my food? How would you know what to price your food at? Right? So when we think about price and product development, the offering of the product, the value, these things, the perception affects price. Sometimes the actual uh, cost of the good affects the price. Does anyone now? I'm just asking. I'm not expecting anyone to answer. Well, maybe it depends on how I phrase the question. But what I want to say is, does anyone here have or own, let's say, like a Louis Vuitton bag? You don't have to answer if you don't want to. It's okay. How is a now you
I
guys?
wish.
You wish. She's like, I wish, right? Okay. It is so to could you tell me how much is a Louis Vuitton bag roughly?
Like, I don't know, like $3,000. I've seen some like $3,000.
Okay, it depends on the bag, right?
Yeah,
Some bags are cheap,
yeah.
bags are more expensive. All right. I don't see your name on the list. What's your name?
Oh, this is Sonara. I don't know why my name is not
All
here.
right, no worries. Okay, so Snar, if you could have a Louis Vuitton bag, would you want a Louis Vuitton bag?
Yes, I would.
Okay. How does Louis Vuitton make their bags? Do you know?
Um, I mean, I'm not too sure. Probably with like nice real leather and like, you know, that's all I know.
Okay. So the perception, the value of the bag, the perception of the bag, because a luxury bag definitely
Yeah.
plays an influence in terms of your desire of the bag and the price of the bag. Do you think it's a $3,000 bag? Do you think it should be or it shouldn't be? What are your thoughts?
I mean, honestly, I don't think no bag should be $3,000. I just think it's because of the brand is like, people buy from it a lot and they're so popular and then they probably do make them good. I'm not too sure about that. So that's why I think they charge them like so pricey.
Okay. Now you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
I would say that Louis Vuitton usually some are expensive, some are not expensive, but it all depends because usually if you buy something that's worth $3,000, you lose the value because of the market, how it goes. But for me, I think it's just the name of the brand why it's so expensive.
Okay. How do you think Louis Vuitton was able to obtain such a luxurious brand name? What do you think about their product, their offering, their value, uh, that it allowed people to believe that it's a $3,000 bag? Now, if you don't know the answer, don't worry. I'm not necessarily expecting you to know the answer, right?
I
So,
don't know. Maybe they just make a little bit like of their bags.
okay,
And so
scarcity.
since they don't have a lot, they're like, oh, you need to come get one. And that's why they charge them so high, you
Okay,
know?
so Rolex does that. That's actually what Rolex does.
Oh,
That's actually one of the strategies. Rolex deliberately limits their production to create scarcity on purpose, and they have a long waiting list, even though they have the supply chain, that the manufacturing capacity to create more, they choose not to, so that their products are considered collectible timepieces. So where do you think Louis Vuitton is made? Where do you think they make their bags? You think this made in Italy, handmade in Italy? What do you think is made?
I mean, I don't know where, but it has to be handmade. Like, it must be handmade for them to charge that much.
What if it wasn't?
I don't know. That's kind of a scam then.
It's kind of a scam. Okay, so the thing is that we're all in agreement that Louis Vuitton bags are expensive. We all understand that the marketing, the brand impacts the perception. We do generally believe that it's a higher quality luxury bag, is made with better stitching, better, I'm going to use the word ingredients, but parts and labor and things. At least that's what we as a collective think about, right? We say, oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we think. So if you just simply Google Louis Vuitton products, they're manufactured in France, Spain, Italy, the US, and Switzerland. They say their leather goods are produced in France, so on and so forth, right? Now, what's interesting though is I use the word supply chain, and I'm going to keep saying that word. I'm going to just rewind and explain that supply chain is that whenever you get something, something is supplied to you as a business or a manufacturer or a producer, where did it come from? And then how did that person or company get their item? And where did they get their item? And so on and so forth. And how many parts and pieces and components goes into making your iPhone, right? It's a lot of parts and pieces from many different industries come together to create the iPhone. So that chain of suppliers, companies that supply that, if you link that chain together, that's called a supply chain. So it's everything that's required to supply the goods and services required to create something. That's the supply chain. Okay. And supply chains are different for every company, every industry, cross industries to create something. So when you look at the supply chain of leather, the first thing is where'd the cows come from? Right. And then what about the chemicals they use to tan the leather? Then that leather, where's that leather manufactured, produced, the raw leather? So then, when you look at the label of an item, it could say made in France. That doesn't mean the supply chain of all your products are made in France. So your iPhone, if you have an iPhone or even an Android, and is sitting on your table or your bed or chair, desk, some of those products, the supply chain of your item it might say made in China, but you guys know that it's not necessarily all made in China. Some of those raw materials don't come from China. Those raw materials can come from Africa. You're aware of that, right? Cobalt, things of that sort. So
Yeah.
the actual supply chain of the items that you have in your home, your Louis Vuitton bag, doesn't necessarily come from one place. So when you look at the back of an item and it says made in China, Taiwan, France, Spain, Italy, Switzerland, Sweden, wherever the hell, that doesn't mean that's where it really is fully made or produced. I could buy all my leather from China. Real talk. Okay. I could buy all my leather from China, import it to the US, and I can stitch it myself and say made in the USA. Am I right? And then you would think, oh, this is made in the USA. But if most of the tanning and the leather and the production, the pre-production was made in China, is it really made in the USA? So that's the so that's the issue with the luxury goods that you consume and use. They trick a lot of customers into thinking that all the products and services that create that good that you're consuming comes from the country that they post on the back, because supply chains are very complicated. They're very intricate, which means your luxury bag, and there's a guy on YouTube. I don't know if you guys have seen him. Maybe his Instagram, wherever he's on. I think he's on YouTube. He's like a leather worker, a leather craft guy. Uh, he takes like luxury bags, like high, like Hermes, Louis Vuitton, whatever, high end stuff you probably maybe haven't heard of, you know. And he deconstructs the bag. He takes his little thing. He breaks the bag apart, all the strips of leather. He looks at the stitching, and he starts telling you the price. It's X amount of dollars of stitching, X amount of cents of this. They use this type of glue, this type of this, and he breaks the bag down. And what he's essentially saying is the Louis Vuitton bag that you're paying thousands of dollars for he will sometimes break it down and it's like $150 of leather, $20 of stitching and glue, to $200 of raw materials at his cost. All right. And it's important
Wow.
at his cost. So his cost is what it costs him to buy it. He's not selling zillions of bags globally. So he's not getting that scale of discount on leather volume, because when you buy volume, you get it cheaper, right? So if I'm buying something high end, well, I'm not going to necessarily pay your price because you might be buying 10, 15, 20 items. But if I'm buying tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of that item, I could demand a discount. It's called volume discount. So so he's going over his cost. You don't know what the scale of their cost is, probably cheaper. So $150 of leather and stitching, glue, whatever the heck they use to make it. Where's the other? And then the other, I guess, $2,750 is having a celebrity wear it. You know? So we're discussing value, we're discussing product development, pricing, and I don't want to say it's BS, but it is what it is, right? So as a business, if you get people to believe that your bag is worth $3,000, then you're doing great, right? But on the same end, McDonald's sells a cheap burger. They make a couple of cents for every burger you eat at McDonald's, fries, drink, with soft drink, whatever it is. They only make a couple of cents in profit on each burger. But they sell what, hundreds of billions of burgers a day, probably, right? Billions of burgers a day. They're making hundreds of millions of dollars a day, literally, maybe a week or so, globally. So sometimes just because you can sell it for big value doesn't always necessarily mean that that's more valuable. If you could sell one bag for $3,000 or 10 or 1,000 bags for $300, what's better? So there's a price point for everybody, there's a value point for everybody, a perception of value for everybody. Uh, but you know, a video came out recently. I don't know if you guys saw the video. Since there's been a lot of back and forth between Donald Trump, China, trade agreements, tariffs, so on and so forth, a video came out that was saying that, hey, all the luxury goods that you guys buy, you guys don't realize is made in China. This is what the video is saying. And the luxury industry fired back. Of course they're gonna fire back, but the video is saying that, we make most of the stuff that you consume, including your luxury goods, in China. So why are you wasting your time buying those luxury goods from them when we make it and they put their brand or their stamp, or they do what they do? We sell most of the prefabrication here. We make it in China. So they're saying just buy direct. You know, you want Louis Vuitton quality? Oh, I'm just using that as an example. Okay, just as an example. Come buy our bags directly. It won't have the label, but you get the same quality. Now, obviously, they fired back and said that's not true. The luxury brands, so on and so forth. But go ahead. You have your hand up. Go ahead.
I think there's like some things going on TikTok right now where a lot of Chinese brands or companies, I'm not really sure what the right word to use is. I think it's like relating to the tariffs and everything. They're telling people, oh, to buy directly from them, and they're
Yeah.
trying to not get people. Like, I know one page I found was like Birkenstock, those shoes, those Lululemon jackets and stuff that go for like 150, stuff like that. They're telling people, oh, buy directly from us because it's the same quality of everything at a way cheaper price, and they'll like have it directly shipped.
Because a lot of those products are made in China.
Yeah,
They're made in China, right? And then sometimes they're finished in a different country. And what you don't know is that when they're finished in a different country, that's the country where they may put the sticker that says made in this country. So
yeah,
they're trying to educate the consumer. But then again, you don't know if they're just saying some fake stuff.
Yeah, some of them might be fake, some of them might be real. It's a little silly right now.
We don't know, right? But
Yeah.
it is true that there are high-end products, high-end brands where part of their supply chain process comes from China. I'll put it at that, right? It's not 100% made in wherever. It's part of it comes from China.
Yeah.
Do we have any more hands up, or we're good on the questions? Okay. So one of the things to take in consideration is that even though value is relative to your perception is very much shaped by social influence, your awareness, your education or lack of education therein, uh, uh, things of that sort, right? And then I'm going to call it miseducation or false education, where you could take an idea, you could take information, and you can misinform people, right? I could propose a medical term for you, or medical science or research data, and convince you why you need to take my medicine and why you need to take my supplement. And that's not the issue, right? I could take some data and say, oh, my name is Dr. Gundry, and you shouldn't eat tomatoes because of it's a nightshade because tomatoes have blah 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 blah. So don't eat tomatoes, but you want the lycopene in the tomato, blah blah blah. So take my supplement. And it's like, okay, he's taking factual data, scientific data, but then it's being distorted to the perception of his presentation. And so data and misinformation is like super, super ready. I mean, like AI is crazy. It's freaking crazy. And this is like in a couple of years, like 10 years ago, there was no AI. Didn't exist. So the research was there. The research was there, but the product wasn't there. Now you go online, you're like, is that AI? I don't know if that's real or not. So you as a consumer, it's very difficult to discern value, discern truth. So the definitions that are here, I think are solid in our understanding of offerings to the consumer. But I do feel like, because AI exists, uh, it's going to be tricky. Like 20 years from now, guys, you could be on your computers or whatever device we'll be using 20 years from now, whatever it's going to be. Uh, and how do you know if it's real or not? You could be seeing a war. It might not be real. It could be real. You might be saying, "Oh, that's not real. That's fake. That's fake news." People do it now. They say this fake, and it's real. The world is flat. This is what people are saying. Well, we know that's not true because the science and physics, literally, you have U.S. trained snipers whose jobs are there to snipe people in war, and they use physics and scientific fact to shoot people accurately because they know the curvature of the Earth, they know gravity, they know the Earth rotates at what velocity, and they use that scientific fact to determine the velocity of where their bullet will land from a distance. You can't say the Earth is flat. you know, there's so much scientific research and discoveries and things that we use that proves otherwise. But misinformation, disinformation does that. So what I'm also saying is that this also affects our thought process on value. It affects our thought process on and marketing. And I just want you guys to think about that. Uh, College should help educate you. It should help teach you how to research, how to be able to understand data and information, how to articulate the data, which is why they have you write so many essays and papers. So you can read something and say, oh, this is bullshit, or oh, this is true, or oh, I'm not sure about this. That's what college helps you do. All right. And that's the honest to God truth. So you are going into a time where society and life's going to get more challenging. You want this brain to be able to think as much as possible. So I'm going to end our class here. If you have any other questions, please email it to me. Make sure you complete your assignments. And next week I'll go over our final. I'll also go over what to do for our final project. So take care, everybody.
Take care. I don't know.